Hey guys, welcome back to another AFL fantasy video. In today's one, I'll be reviewing all the teams I've been sent. If you haven't sent me your team already, make sure to send it to my Twitter or my Instagram. The links will be in the description, and let's get into the first one. Alright, first team here has been sent in by Eli. Let's start in the back line. So D1, Lloyd, great pick. I've already said heaps about how I think he's going to be getting taking lots of those kick-ins, so I think he will be the number one defender this year. D2, Witherden, really liking it. I've got him in my team currently. He's great value there. I think he'll definitely be a top 6 defender. D3, going pretty cheap with Brodie Smith. I like it. Lots of value in the back line this year. So Smith and Williams coming off injury, I think will be very good pickups. At D5, you've got Birchall. It's an interesting one. I'm not really sold on it right now, but having him at D5 is pretty solid. So that's okay for now. Then you've got the 3 rookies there, Wigg, Burgess and Goddard. A little bit concerned you don't have Collins in the back line. That will be my only thing there. But, yeah, that looks pretty good. In the midfield, McRae, great option. Cornelio, that's a bit of an interesting one. I haven't seen many teams with Cornelio in. I think he's not owned by very many teams this year. I'm not sure why that is. He's a great selection. I think it's just his price tag probably. But yeah, back him in if you think he's going to be another top 3 or 4 midfielder this year. I think that'd be a great selection. Matt Crouch, consistent as ever. I've got him in my team currently, so that's a great selection there. Merritt, severely underpriced there. I think he can get his average up to 110 again, so that's a great pick. Brad Crouch, looking for a bit of value there with Brad Crouch. Really liking it. Not so sure on him at the moment. There's been speculation about he's had another injury in the preseason, so he's not going to have another full preseason. But watch him throughout the JLT. If he gets a few games and he's playing well, you've got to lock him in because this man is capable of 110 plus. Brad Crouch. So that's just watch on that one. Anthony Miles. Now this is an interesting one. The debate about Miles versus Hannery versus Liberatore has been very big, and Miles is starting to get backed by a few more teams now. So here, he's in the Gold Coast midfield, so there's no worry about him not playing in the midfield. I think he's definitely do that. It's just, for me, his scoring potential. We've seen him, he's averaged 89 in the past at Richmond, but I think he possibly could lift that to around 95 this year. So he's priced at 60 odd, so he's pretty cheap. Probably up his average by possibly even 30 to 40 points. So great selection there. And then you got the rookies, Sam Walsh. He's definitely going to get a game, I think. Bewley, Constable and Wagner. Let's go into the rucks now. So you got Grundy. Grundy's a good pick. And then you got Cruiser. Now, Cruiser's an interesting one. I don't mind him. I didn't mind him before he had that knee surgery, but you can still back him in. I think he's definitely underpriced, but my only concern is with his injuries. So injury prone. Being a Carlton supporter, he just lets you down time and time again with his injuries. So I'm just not 100% sold yet that he'll make it through another season, but just see there. I think another option around his price could be someone like Sam Jacobs, a little less injury concern. You got on the bench there Darcy Fort. Hopefully he gets a few games there for us. And then you got Matty Flynn. Possibly, well, it doesn't really matter. I don't think Darcy Cameron's going to get any games, but yeah, Flynn. It's all right. In the forward line, you've got Danger, Heaney, and Wingard. I think they'll probably be 3 top 6 forwards, so it's pretty good. Looking like a lot of forward lines there. With Setterville, Kavara, and then Parker as 3 rookies down there. And then you got Ling and Corbett on the bench. So that's a pretty decent team overall. The only couple pointers I'd give you is maybe just watch Cruiser and see if he gets a few games. Same with Brad Crouch. Just keep them on your watch list throughout the JLT and see how they go. I really like the picks of Miles and Cornelio in the midfield. And down back, just the only concern was with Birchall. I think if you could downgrade him to a Collins, it'd be maybe a better option there. Overall, I really like this team. Solid. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, thanks Eli for sending your team in, and let's get to the next one. Next team here has been sent in by Angus on Instagram. Let's get into the backline. Whitfield and Lloyd as the two premiums back there. With Whitfield this year, I'm liking the selection, but I don't think there's much upside on his average from last year, so I'm not doing it currently. But yeah, he priced at an average of 100, and I think he'll probably just have that again. There's been rumours of a role change, but I don't think that'll affect his scoring too much. Either if he plays on the wing or the halfback, he's scored very well in the past, so that's not too much of a concern. It's just what is his upside. So I think there's other defenders like Lloyd, Witherden, who have bigger upside than Whitfield. Anyway, you got Lloyd, lock. You got Williams, big lock, 20-point upside. Possibly even 30-point upside, depending how he goes. And then you got 3 rookies in the backline: Collins, Clark, and Hoare. 3 rookies starting on the field. I think that's a bit risky. The rookies down back this year aren't as strong as the ones up forward, so that's one thing you might need to take note on. I haven't seen your forward line yet, but yeah, possibly getting more rookies in the forward line would be an idea. And then upgrading one of the Clarks to another mid-pricer or premium down there. So let's go into the midfield. You got Cripper at M1. I think he's a really good selection, really consistent, possibly could up his average to 115 even this year, I think. So that's a good selection. Also a great captaincy option. Then you got Crouch and McRae. Crouch, consistent. I've already talked about him in the last team, so I think it's a great pick. McRae, obviously he's a great captaincy option to have. I'm personally, with my team right now, I'm thinking of dropping either a Cripps or McRae because having 2 of them in there, it's just there's so many value picks in the midfield this year. It's hard to squeeze both of them. So McRae, also another great option though. Priced at an average of 120, so he's extremely expensive, but I think he'll probably just hold that average again this year. Taylor Adams, looking for some value now. I like Taylor Adams. He's priced at 95, could possibly go up to 110 again this year. The only concern is about all the Collingwood midfielders with Beamer back into it. So you got Beams, Treloar, Sidebottom, Pendlebury, Adams. Like, how many of those players can go that 110 plus? So that's the only reason I'm concerned with Adams. But I do like the pick, plenty of upside. Then you got Hanbury at M5. He's averaged 110 in the past before, but you gotta note with Hanbury that he is priced so low because he's been very poor. They say that he's been carrying an injury at Swans, but I don't know about that. So he's moved to the Saints, fresh start. Hopefully he can go back to maybe a 90 plus, 95 plus average. So I think it's between him, Miles, and Libba. It's a very tough conversation. They all have their upsides. So Hanbury is a good selection, and I like it at M5. Then you got Walsh, Smith, Bruley, the Mosquito, and Constable as the rookies there. Not too concerned with the rookies at this stage. Like, they can all change. So Grundy, got it, R1, like it. And R2 is an interesting one, Westhoff. I haven't seen much of him in many teams so far, but yeah, it's an interesting pick. I wouldn't do it myself personally because Port Adelaide did recruit Lysette, so I think that's where, Westhoff gets his easy points playing in the ruck. He just racks it up with ease when he's in the ruck. So if you take that ruck time out with Lysette coming in to the equation, I think he'll possibly drop his average. He did have a career best year last year at an average of 100, but I just don't think he can maintain that average again with Lysette back in the side. So, I mean, back him in if you want to. See how he goes in the JLT playing with Lysette and see if it affects his scoring. But I think it will affect his scoring, and I'd probably be looking elsewhere with the R2 position. So then you got Sweet and Cameron on the bench there. That's okay. In the forward line, you got Wingard, Heaney, and Danger. Same as the last team. Really liking those 3. Heaney, I'm not so sure on though. I think Dunkley possibly a better option, or Devon Smith if you want to pay up. But so you got those 3 there. I'm happy with that. Then you got Warple at F4. I'm really loving Warple this preseason. He's looking fit and he's looking like a very good second year second year breakout option. So keep your eye on Warple. I think he's a great pick there, and could probably lift his average to around 85 to 90, I think, playing as that in that Hawthorn midfield with Titch gone. Then you got Hill. I haven't heard much about Hill. I think possibly could downgrade him to a Corbett you don't have there. But then you got Setterfield, who's a great option. So then you got Ling and I think it's Schultz on the bench there. So overall with this team, I need to see the backline again. Oh yeah, that's right. So you have the 3 rookies running deep in that backline, and I think you could possibly downgrade a Hill or maybe a Heaney or Wingard, and then upgrade a Clark in your backline to another Primo. I think that's where you would probably get the best use of that. Having those, because I think two rookies in the forward line is a must on field. I think you got to have Kavara and Setterfield on the field, and then I think Corbett's also a must have. So try and find Kavara and Corbett in the forward line, and in the back line just maybe look to upgrade one of those rookies. Midfield's okay. It's looking good. 3 rookies. I think you'd be confident. Maybe trade a Bailey Smith, but confident with running the 3 rookies in the midfield this year. There's lots of depth with that. R2, Westhoff, that's a concern with the Lysa issue, as I said. Maybe look to change him, but that's all I have to say with this team. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. So, again, thanks, Angus, for sending in your team. Next team here was sent in by Jamie on Instagram. Let's get into the back line. So, we've got D1 Lloyd. Lock him in, obviously. D2 Witherden. Looking for a bit of value there. I like it. D3 Smith. D4 Williams. So, 2 people coming back from injury. Underpriced, possibly by 20 points. So, they're 2 good selections, I think. Then you got Collins and Scrimshaw as the rookies. Watch with Scrimshaw moving over from the Suns. I'm not sure if he'll get games, but if he does, lock him in. I think he'll be a good selection. So in the back line there, pretty stock standard. I think it's pretty identical to the first team apart from Scrimshaw. So a lot of teams are choosing to go with this structure in the back line with the sort of 2 premiums with Lloyd and Witherden, and then the Smith and Williams looking for a bit of value. Let's get into the midfield. So in the midfield, you got Cripper, Crouch. I've talked about them. Good selections there. Then you got Zorko. He's very risky. So I started with him last year, and he did burn me. So you can go. He's a bloke that can go 160 or 40. So it's up to you. Quite a risky selection. If you like a roller coaster, jump on him and ride him. But I'm not sure I'm keen on that. Then you got Sloan at M5, another risky pick. I'm not sure if he can. His price, he's very good value for what his potential is, but I just don't think he's going to reach his potential anymore. People they're starting to tag him now, and I don't think he'll ever get back to those days where he's going crazy for that short period of time. A couple of years ago, I think it was, or it might have been last year, or I can't remember anyway. I don't think he's going to get back to that. So having Zorko and Sloan, I think it's too risky to have both of them, so just choose one of them, I think, and then either upgrade or downgrade another one to some maybe another pick anyway around their price. Then you got Brad Crouch, I like that, and then Miles at M6, that's a good selection there. Then you got Walsh, Brayshaw, Bewley, and Constable. So overall with your midfield, I'd look to trade one of Zorko or Sloan, as I said, but yeah, that's a pretty stock standard midfield apart from those 2. So in the rucks there, you got Grundy and Sauce Jacobs. I love Grundy, obviously, and then Sam Jacobs at R2. I really like that option. So I did a video a couple of days ago saying my top 5 players for the R2 slot. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And Jacobs was actually number 1. So I think that he's probably 17 points underpriced, even though he dropped it last year. I think Crows as a whole kind of just dropped off, and I think he will bounce back from that, and I think he'll average what he did a couple of years ago and get that 99, 100 point average across the season. So then I think that's a good selection. Fort and Flynn on the bench. And then let's get into the forward line. F1, Dangerfield, lock it in, great selection. I think he's going to go 110 plus this year. So he's pretty much a must-have in the forward line there. F2, Dunkley. I really like it. So I've got Dunkley at my F2 currently. I think there's people talking about how Libba coming back is going to take some midfield time off him. But the way he went that second half of the season, averaging, I think it was like 116, 115 or something, you have to have him. So if he's producing those numbers, I think he'll probably produce them similar to them, even maybe a 105, 110 average. So he's just like Witherden, underpriced and a guaranteed top 6 in their position, in my opinion. Then you got Wingard at F3. I like it. There's with the calf, bit of a calf worry, but not too much at this stage, so it's still a good selection. Tom Lynch at F4. I really like that. There's been rumours and talk that he's going to be swapping the ruck with Nankervis. So if he does, then that's a big plus for him. I think he can push for an average of 90. So he's possibly priced 25 points unders. So I really like that selection, and I like how they've gone with a bit of a point of difference there. Setterfield, Parker, Kavara, and Corbett as the rookies. Not too bad. I like all those rookies there. So overall, your team, I really like the Lynch and Jacobs selections. Also, I like your backline. It's pretty stock standard. The only things I have to say about your team is the Zorko and Sloan picks. But apart from those two, I really like your team, and I'll give it about 8 out of 10. So thanks, Jamie, for sending in your team. Last but certainly not least, we got Matt sending in his team via Twitter. So let's get into it. In the backline, Lloyd, D1. He's been in every team today. So I'm really liking that selection, and obviously everyone else is as well. Sicily at D2. He can be a bit up or down, sick dog. So I think he still will be a top 6 defender, but I just don't think he'll up his average too much. I think he'll probably go around 95 to 100 again this year. Then you got Witherden at D3. I like how you've gone deep with the primos in the back line, with Witherden at D3 and then Williams at D4. I like those two there. Then you got Collins and Nash, and then Goddard and Wig on the bench. So nice back line. So the only difference to the other two that were noticeable is the Sicily and those other two that had Smith instead of him. So I like the Sicily pick. Interesting. So let's get into the midfield. I can instantly see that you've left out McRae and Cripps. So you've got no real one big captaincy option in there. That's my only concern. You've got Crouch at M1, and then you're looking for a lot of value underneath him. So then you got Merritt at M2, which if he gets firing, he can be your captaincy option that you're looking for in the midfield. So Merritt, I like that. Then you got Neil at M3. There's been rumours he's doing really well so far up at Brisbane, getting best on ground in the practice matches. I know they don't really mean much, but apparently he's fitting in well. So yeah, hopefully he can go back to those good Freo days where he went that 110 that year. So I think anything's possible with Neil this year. Adams, another value pick in the midfield. So I can see a common trend here. You're going with lots of value picks in the midfield. Then you got Dusty Martin, another value pick. I had him last year and I wasn't very happy with him, dropping off his average back to I think he's priced at about a 90 now, so a 90, 92. So he could be a great selection if it pays off, but I just don't think it will. But that's in your opinion. Your opinion it might, so that's up to you. I will say on Dusty though, there's one thing he's got going for him is the inclusion of Lynch. Hopefully it frees up so he doesn't have to sit in the goal square now. Lynch and Rewalt can just be those two big men in the forward line, and Dusty sort of can free him up a little bit so he can have some more midfield time. So you never know, he could get back to his 100, 110 days. So could be a good selection. Then you got Libba at M6. I really like Libba. He's priced so cheap, so if he plays well during the JLT, I think he's another player you can't refuse him at that price. So yeah, I like that. Then you got Valente, Hind, Bewley, and Constable. Yep, so they're good rookies through there. You got the two Freo guys and Hind. I like Hind so far. I will recommend putting Walsh in though, as he good job security in there, but that's up to you. Get into the rucks. You got Grundy. There's your captaincy option that you're looking for. So actually, it doesn't matter too much that you left out McRae and Cripps in the midfield if you got Grundy, reliable captain option. R2 English, really like it. I've got him at R2 now. I think that if he fails, you can always trade him to Mumford after the first 2 rounds when he comes back from his suspension. But yeah, I'm really liking English at the moment. Priced at 61. I think you can up that to around 80, 85, maybe even 90. He's going to be a sole ruck at Bulldogs this year. So I'm liking that pick. Cameron and Ford on the bench there. Forward line, I've seen straight away that you left out Danger. So another common trend in your team that you're leaving out the big dogs. So it's interesting, but I do like it. So you got Dunkley as your number 1 forward. I think he can. He'll be in top 6 forwards again this year, so it's a good selection there. F2 got Kelly. That's one we haven't seen so far. He's very, very interesting one. If he plays more of a role in the midfield this year, which I think he can, he could push to be a top 6 forward, along with Wingard and Warple, the 2 others you got there. So you're really looking for those breakout players in your team, I can see. So you got the likes of Kelly, Wingard, Warple, Dusty, Adams, Neal, Merritt, Libber, even Crouch, and then Sicily and Witherden and Williams. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Libber as well, 9. So you got like 12 or 13 or even 14 of those picks you got in there. You got their breakout picks, and they're going to rise in value. So I'm really liking the strategy you've gone with. So I think your team value will rise a lot if all those picks play off, and I think you'll be able to get to those big dogs quicker. You got Setterfield, Kavara, Lewis and Corbett as the rookies there. So overall, this is a pretty solid team, one of the best we've seen today. I would want to start Dangerfield though. I'm a little bit concerned about that in the forward line. But apart from that, I'm going to give this team 8.5 out of 10. So thanks, Matt from Twitter. This is a very good team, and that'll wrap up this video. So a big thanks to everyone who sent in their teams today. If you would like to be featured in a video in the next one, make sure to send me a photo to my Instagram or Twitter, and I'll get around to reviewing it. So I'd like to turn this into a bit of a series. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1. Bit of a longer video for me today. But yeah, make sure you subscribe for more AFL Fantasy content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.